Good
Oh,
afternoon, everyone.
you don't need to. You don't.
Well, oh. Okay. How's the timing of him talking like that? I actually saw one of the things I looked at when starting this call was how many other calls, like how many other meetings are events that are going on. And when I look at that, I often see like whose events are them. And I think Blue has like six events that are running all at the same time on your account. Have you seen? Yeah.
Hey,
What can I say? I'm busy, he says. And for some reason, he thought, oh, I'll also come onto the Q&A call while I'm managing a half a dozen other calls, right?
well, why not? I just
Yeah.
thought it'd be interesting to see how much I can juggle at the same time.
Yeah, it's like, is multitasking really possible?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Or is it really just individual tasks done one after another really fast?
well, we'll be able to watch it on your face as
We're about,
we.
yeah. If all of a sudden you see smoke coming out of my ear, it could be an AirPod that's caught fire, or it just could be my brain is melting down.
It's just multitasking. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Look at this. It's nice to see you all. We've got a couple of questions, not as many as normal. So just
This is the
jump
right
onto
one to
the.
show up for. This is awesome.
It's the right one to come to. That's awesome. Um, so I think we'll have a look at it. Jane. I think we're looking at your ear at the moment, so we might. There we go. Nice. Hello. It's good to see you. So go to the dashboard. On the dashboard, there's the button to ask a question, and that way we won't miss your questions. So Heather, what have we got there?
So the first one, I'm guessing Sarah, you probably asked this one, but they're doing a graduation tomorrow. So they were wondering if you could look through their dashboard and see if you would change anything. This is for organization BCA Biblical Counseling Academy and for their event, the BCA office hours.
Sorry, which was the event?
I can.
The
I
summit?
do. You want to
The BCA
open it,
office
Blue?
hours.
You want to have a look at it, Blue?
Why not?
Sure, he says.
You want to look at it? Why don't we both
Calmly
look
up.
at it and see what we think?
But, well, I've got it. I've got it. You want me to send you the link?
No, I've got it.
Okay. All right. 21 hours to go. Sarah, are you okay?
Yeah,
Not stressing out.
a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
what my dad wanted you to mostly look at was the graduates bio page. It's just called graduates.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it looks fine.
Look, it looks great. Was there a particular function or something you said on the graduate page? Was that a page that was
Well, um, there's not really anything that's not working. We've got 21 hours.
right?
So
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I think for me, the biggest thing that I would be thinking about here, Sarah, is the fact that the background color for the left panel and the right panel are the same, which makes it a little less obvious how the page functions because it only scrolls on one side of the page, but if you don't know that, it's a little confusing. So I would be thinking about changing the background color to either probably the left panel if it were me, right? So, right. So here, this side scrolls, this side doesn't. And I know that the top has a, it has a bar there, but even if I were to just change the background color to be gray, and I'm not suggesting that, but even if we were to change it to be gray, oh wait, that's the menu background color. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Sorry, we have a naked person alert in one of our Zoom meetings. Just the things that you don't think should ever be something that you should have to worry about, and yet you do. Okay, so why is this not working for me?
Luke, can I just say something real quick?
You can say whatever you want.
You know, when you log into Zoom and it shows your camera is off, and then there's some little thing that pops up and says, hey, do you know this is being recorded? As soon as you say, okay, your camera turns on automatically.
Thank you for that kind piece of information.
It was a shocking revelation one day when I'm sure there was, oh my God, there's an alert in the gallery.
Yeah. So, Sarah, this is like, even just this, for me, makes it a little bit more obvious that it's a two-sided page. I'm not suggesting that this is the color to do, but you see how it's a little bit more obvious, right?
Yeah, just do a different color.
Yeah, you can do a different color, and it doesn't have to be very different, right? Like,
which also, if you log into it from like an attendee's point of view, the buttons on the sides, not all of them show, so you have to press arrows. So, and the arrows are white. So that's another reason to change it, because I couldn't see the arrows and I didn't know how to change any of them.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just take a quick peek at that.
I'm going to start sending you emails.
So what I think you're referring to is when it kind of looks like this, right? So there's a couple things that we normally do is I would say, just as a starting point, we try to never have more than 4 buttons active on this particular template for us internally. There is, I think you can control the color of that. The page arrow button, or color right here, actually allows you to change the color of that arrow. So if you wanted to make it super obvious and make it like red, again, I'm not sure that I would do that, but you saw it for a moment. If I were to resize this editor, you'll see that the actually, no, you don't see it in the editor. You only see it in the live page, but that is where you modify that. The other thing that I would contemplate doing is I would, if you're struggling with that, is I would reduce my font size on these buttons and reduce the height. So, maybe make your height 50 and your pixel size, your font size 20. They start to look a little, if you keep them full width at that point, they start to look a little off. So I also usually then reduce the width to be like 10, because to my eyes, that just looks a little bit more, normal. Now, like when you reduce the size of them vertically, people with smaller screens have a better chance of actually seeing the entire, like all of the buttons, without having to page through the buttons that are available. So those are, that's the thing about panels and Nifty. They both suffer from that same problem, in that, if you have too many call to action buttons, it doesn't work very well. Like, it works, but it's a little bit confusing for some for some users. We'll just say that.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
So that's just doing that will tighten it up a little bit. You can also, something else that you can do is you can reduce your logo size a little bit, which will also give the buttons more space to actually take up. So those are little things that I may consider doing. Something else that I would probably do if it were me is I would be pulling that blue from the logo and I would be using it as the header color for the background of the bar, because I think it would just be a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
Like that. That's super minor, right? I mean, but you know, you're asking, so there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if anyone has questions, make sure to post those on the dashboard, because right now we don't have any that have come through besides that one.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all next week. Bye for now.
That was quick.
Wait, Muddy's here, and where's Jeff? They always have questions. Oh, I have a question.
I just had
Okay.
one come through.
Is your question, where's Muddy and where's Jeff? Because if that's the question, I know where one of them are.
It was about Marketplace.
I'm ignoring that question for now.
Yeah,
I'm only
I don't
asking
like
that because Jeff's not here.
I appreciate that. He'd be asking about certificates.
Amelia just posted and asked if you would be able to take a quick review of her dashboard.
Sure.
Yay.
I like when we don't have questions. It's just like, hey, just
Look
look at
at what
my
I'm doing.
stuff.
Yeah.
Amelia, what's the organization name?
Dodona Coaching, Dodona.
So, while you're getting that blue, Robin, there's an option in the video settings of Zoom that say automatically or stop my video when entering, and that does work. What happens? What's changed recently with their like recording consent is that the video doesn't start until you acknowledge that it's being recorded, and then the normal behavior will happen once you've said okay. So the normal behavior or the default behavior is that the video starts, but if you set the setting to not start, then it won't just automatically turn the camera on. So
I think people are thinking the camera's off and then they don't really read that and they hit okay. And then they don't realize that they're now naked in front of the.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Just a guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows what's going through the naked person's mind, really? You know?
I mean, you
Could
can
be
see
anything.
everything else. You can see
Yes,
everything else.
exactly.
You just can't see their mind.
Yeah.
What's going on.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. So, Amelia, is this the one we're looking at?
Yep. And I
Okay.
literally probably just threw this together like yesterday, and I just want to see if I'm on the right track.
Yeah. Well, first off, I think you are on the right track. I will say that. There's a couple of things that I probably would do a tiny bit differently.
Yep.
Just as a starting point, I know under Hero there is the option to upload an image. For an image like this, I would not have it back there.
Okay.
I don't. It takes up too much space, and people have to kind of scroll down to see what it is. The other thing that I would probably do is I would change the font for the welcome to be something a little bit different, possibly, and probably smaller as well. Actually, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that either.
Yeah. And then what I would probably you
can go ahead and remove that if you want.
Right.
I just threw that in like right in this minute.
Cool.
I didn't know if it was going to be a background or
Yeah,
what.
yeah. So what I would consider, oh, that's interesting. Why aren't we seeing that? So header background opacity, let's reduce that a little bit. Let's
Okay, cool.
increase the logo height, header height. Let's increase that a little bit. So I like this background that you've got here. That's kind of cool. So there's a couple things that you could potentially do. The header background color or the header background image is for the top area, and by itself, if you don't have a color, it actually is that's a pretty cool looking image. The challenge with that image is your logo is the same color basically. So if you have a reversed out logo of that logo where it's like white instead of purple, that could potentially work. Or you just, add a little bit background opacity to the.
I like that. I like the
Okay.
opacity. Yeah.
Cool.
That looks.
And then you can also play around with this a little bit more. You can increase your logo height and just to show that, or sorry, the header height to show that that background image a little bit more. Something else you can play around with for this particular template, you may want to think about trying something like this. This may not work, by the way. What I'm about to do may be an absolute disaster.
Right.
And what I would probably do here is, do we have the same background color? Yeah, we do. Okay. So I would do something like this, where the background color is white and it's like super, super high, but it's like kind of like this, where it's there. The boat is there and you kind of see it, but it's just kind of like a really, really, really mild design that's kind of there, but it's hidden. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And again, you may absolutely hate that. If you do, just come in here and remove the dashboard background, and that's fine. I have no attachment to that. But given what you've got there, that's what I'd be thinking about. The other thing you may want to do is for the countdown timer, because if you are going to stick with that, the countdown timer, ideally now you go into styling and you remove the opacity of the background entirely, and you just have the number blocks themselves have that. I would probably give them a little bit of a radius, something along those lines, which now just kind of puts like a little square, a rounded rectangle around the numbers, basically.
Okay.
So rather than it looking like a big white square right in the middle of that area. So I think that's a good starting point. Don't forget you need your buttons for your dashboard, right? So, or to access Zoom. So like enter
main
Zoom.
stage.
Yeah, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Again, for styling for this, I would probably grab your purple or something in this purple range, just to. I mean, you probably
I can give you the.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you probably have the exact hex code, but I'm just gonna throw in a hex code.
Okay.
You may like a gradient given the logo that you have. Given the fact that the logo itself has a gradient in it, you may like a gradient button color. So kind of like that, and that, right? So that matches your logo.
Did you just hover over the cover color and it put it in there? Did I see that right?
Yeah, I'm using an application that.
Oh, okay.
But yes, it's so.
They're my colors.
Okay. So then I would probably, on hover, I would probably go to a solid, like this, something like that anyway. And then for me, I always think that this particular template, the buttons are a little bit too wide, so I usually narrow them up a little bit. And then I'm guessing you like a little bit of radius.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something like that would probably work pretty nice. Again, you can play around with that. You're going to need to point it to the main stage. You've already created an area there. So I will take it and click join area and point it to the main stage. Yeah, so something like that feels to me like it may work well. You may find something else that you could potentially try is if you don't like the two images as back, right? Like the boat background plus the sky-ish background, like the purple sky background, you could try removing like I would just play around with this and see what you like, but you could remove the header background and then remove the header background opacity. And then if you do that, you're going to want to get rid of the shadow. So now the header, like the entire page, like the header almost disappears a little bit, even though it's still there. So you could do something like that, and just tighten it up a little bit. So, something like that may
and
work.
I may get the boat thing to where the boat's up in the corner and the rest of it's a color or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm playing around with it.
Totally. I get that. So there's, but just based on the stuff that you have, those are some ideas that I would be thinking about.
And where would I put my little paddle emojis? Because I have some of those. I'm so excited about them.
Okay. So your paddle emojis, do you want people just to be able to download them so that they can show them to you? Is that kind of what you're thinking? Or
yeah, I mean, well, I'm just excited to have them. I'm going to be sending them paddles, and that's
okay.
But
so
I like having them on the thing, like you guys have it. I don't have the screen to have them click it and be happy, going up and down, but eventually I want to get there. So I figure I put them in there now and we can work on that technology later.
So what I would say, Amelia, what I would say is I would not put emojis on the dashboard if you're not going to use the emojis in some way. And meaning, like, if you're not going to be able to show the attendees the emojis somehow, then I would skip using the emoji tool because it's just going to cause confusion, right? Like because if you may get attendees who are like, hey, Amelia, I keep clicking on these emojis. What do they do? And now your answer is, well, nothing, right? So, so I would skip that, and I would just simply, put an item in the sidebar for resources. And I would say like downloads instead of resources. Here are some resources to make the most of your event with me this week, or something like that. And now you can add a resource and drop the files here, like the actual image files, so that if somebody doesn't receive it, they could print it.
Print it out.
Right. So that's how I would probably do that. And then I would play around with the icons here to try and find matching emojis. Like, what are the emojis that you're sending your attendees?
It's definitely not going to be any kind of icon that you guys have in store, because it's a 10-second booty wiggle. It's a, oh yeah, with a race car. It's a gold star spelled GOAL apostrophe D. It's a Yas Queen.
Okay,
it's all kinds of fun.
You can play around with it, but like gold star, there probably is that. You can use that. The butt
10-second booty wiggle.
Yeah, if you want to know what fonts or what icons we technically have inside the system, if you go to fontawesome.com and search here, and I doubt that there is a twerking or something like that, like icon. But you know what? How about Peach? Because that kind of looks like an ass. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So you could go in here and once you know that it's there, you could come in here, type Peach, and be like, oh, look, there's a
Booty wiggle.
that's kind of, once you actually know what you're trying to replicate, that I'm not sure works, but whatever, you could try it. But if you go to fontawesome.com and just the searching is easier here, because then you can see what it's actually called, and then when you search for that specific thing, it will show up.
Okay, and that's Font Awesome.
Fontawesome.com. That's the library of icons that is used by Obvio.
All right, and it's time.
All right. So there's a few things for you to think about anyway, at the very least.
Awesome. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome so very much.
Our next question's from Jenny. She says, how do I get the leaderboard to show up for my attendees? The event, free to lead event for Bamboo Myth organization.
Bamboo Myth? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Free to lead or free to lead 2?
Free to lead.
All right.
Trying to mute. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's 2. Either one. Yeah, I'm doing another event. So I've got that duplicated, and that's in June. And I don't think they could see the leaderboard, but I didn't find out till the last day. That would be great.
No worries. Okay. So first off, leaderboard, like the points are here. So inside of, which one am I in? I'm in free to lead. So if I go to under attendees, there's points, and this is where you can turn them on or off. Now it actually looks like you had yours set to turn off automatically. So that may be the reason why they're off. Yeah, okay, so you had people who actually had points. So how to link to the leaderboard? First off, they actually did likely have access to the leaderboard, but they would have had to find it all the way down here, right down at the bottom of your dashboard. But it also looks like you had a link to the leaderboard right there. So they did have access to it.
So
unless you've done something recently to change that.
When the event was still going on, I was in preview mode, and when I clicked on leaderboard, I couldn't see what the attendees saw. It went to some random blank page. Oh, that's weird. So I don't know if they ever saw it.
So there are certain things that when you are in preview mode don't function like they do when you're an attendee. That's one of them. Sometimes clicking on buttons doesn't function the way you would expect. The preview mode is really not meant for to give you a preview of how to navigate. It's meant to give you a preview of how it's going to look. So those are two slightly different things. Your best bet, if you really want to get a solid look at exactly what your attendees are seeing, is to create an attendee for yourself, or to just log in as an attendee, which is really easy to do. To log in as an attendee, you go to the attendees page, you click on any one of your attendees, and thanks to Grant, you click on this little log in to attendees dashboard right here. That opens up a new tab and logs you in as that attendee automatically. So this is
that's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, this is what they're seeing. Those are your resources. The leaderboard being right there. When they load the leaderboard, this is what they see there. So it's all there. It's just a little complicated to get
No,
to.
that's really helpful. So it went better than I thought. That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right.
Oh, so the next one's from Muddy. He wants to know, how can I create a log of attendee actions and points? I have a client with a semester-long event, and they want to see a list of actions an attendee has taken to earn points.
Yes, us too. So that is on the wish list. So attendee actions in general, like a log of attendees, is something that's on our roadmap. I'll just say that. It's not available currently, but it is something that we have on our list, on our wish list of things to do. And essentially how we have envisioned it is from the attendees page, being able to have a like a log button or something along those lines, which opens up a new pop-up and shows you not just points that they did, but also when they logged in. Our ideal version also shows when they joined and left Zoom on that same page. So that's kind of the vision for it. But clearly, as was pointed out earlier on this call, we have to get the marketplace up before that happens. So yeah, that's, but that is something that we've had active conversations about.
All right. The next question's from Jeff. He wants to know the status of marketplace. No, I'm kidding. He's getting a network error more often than not. And he was wondering if this is a system-wide issue or just user specific.
So it's interesting that you say that. I got a network error earlier today for the first time in a long time. So I don't know, but I mean, I've been on Obvio all day long today in like 3 different events for dashboards that I'm working on, and I got it once. A network error is basically when Obvio and your browser stop communicating, and a refresh fixes it. The reason it shows up is because of the ability for multiple browsers or multiple users to be able to make changes simultaneously. So without that network connection, you are missing it. I've found generally, I haven't seen that error in a long time, to be fair. Like I know it existed, and we used to have more issues with it before we transitioned to the new infrastructure for Obvio early last year. So I haven't seen it in quite some time, but I did see it today. I did a refresh and everything went back to normal. And so I don't know the answer to that question, but I haven't seen widespread reports of it. It's usually local though, Jeff. It's usually like your Wi-Fi dropped for a moment, or your internet went down and you didn't really realize it because you're not actually browsing anything. You're just on a static page. But even if it goes down just for a minute or a couple seconds, if it goes down while Obvio is communicating with servers, then you'll get that error.
Gotcha. I was getting it about 2 to 3 times a day since Thursday. And we've also had some internet stability stuff. So I'm sure some of that is on this end and not Obvio's end. I was just curious, just trying to troubleshoot and track it down.
Yeah. So basically, especially when you're on not all pages, but specifically the editors maintain a constant connection to Obvio. Again, to allow for, if we were both looking at a dashboard and I make a change to something, you see that change almost instantly. In order for us to allow for that to take place, that's why there's a constant connection. And when that connection fails, we made a business decision, not a technical decision actually, but a business decision to throw a network error, because when you lose contact with the Obvio servers, there's a strong possibility that you're no longer looking at the most recent version of the dashboard, right? So we actually want you to refresh to make sure that you're looking at the most recent version of the dashboard. So that's the reason. I mean, there's way more information than you need, but that's why you're seeing that. Because before we started showing that, what would happen is if Grant and I were editing a dashboard and one of our connections failed for a moment, the other person would no longer be seeing the most recent version. And now you wind up with versioning issues.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's technically what's going on.
I also want to give props to Heather. I did not ask about Marketplace today because I don't want to be annoying, but she asked the question that I didn't ask. So thank you for mind reading, because I almost typed it. Like, I was so close, and I just want to give you credit.
It's all right. It's all right. Somebody already asked it for you.
Oh, good.
In fact, I believe she said, was it Amy? I think she said, because Jeff's not here, how's Marketplace doing? So, yeah.
Fair enough. Thanks, Amy.
Yep.
Proud of you. Gold sticker.
So our next
But-
questions from her. Oh, sorry, Blue.
No.
Grant.
All I was going to say, Jeff, is that, you know, sometimes these things, and I totally get it, can throw the confidence that you have, particularly when you're going into an event, and something like network error just sounds like, okay, so Obvio's not working, you know, like, and now I'm about to open the doors, and you know what, and it just throws confidence. And so I guess understanding that a little bit more, that network error is only ever on the editor, you know, like that's not an experience.
Yeah, the attendees would never see that error message.
They never see it, and there's no reason for them, because the connection is totally different. The way that the attendees experience, we've spent, you know, a lot of time making sure that the different sections of the app are isolated, and so that when it comes to actually getting the event, someone seeing their dashboard and then getting their link to join the meeting is all very, very different to the editor and that, you know, all that other side. And so it's helpful to know that. And of course, also, we're only getting busier and busier on Obvio, which means that it's less likely, like you've been around for a long time, Jeff. There would have been times where you were the only person running an event, whereas that's becoming less common, that there's only one event running at a time, which is it's a positive, right? It's a positive because multiple people are doing things. If there's a little thing that's not quite working, we're already hearing about it. We're onto it. We're working on it, things like that. So I think as it gets more and more usage like that, it's more and more and more stable. So
yeah, and as an example, there are 8 events that are actively running with people inside of Zoom currently, including this one. So, yeah.
Great
yeah,
feedback. It helps
Grant's
to
point-
understand the
Grant's
behind the
point-
scenes.
Yeah, to Grant's point, I actually think this happened sometime last year. There were a couple of things that we really spent a long time disconnecting. I don't know if you guys, may or may not remember, but there was a period of time where there were almost no updates that were public facing to, you know, in the like summer of last year, spring of last year ish. And there were very, very, very few user facing updates. And it's while we were spending a lot of time on the back end, to Grant's point, disconnecting different services. So if for some reason the admin of Obvio went down, like you couldn't edit your dashboards for some reason because the admin was down, it doesn't actually affect attendees, right? So there is a chance that you can't log into Obvio, but your attendees have no issues. Now, that's not entirely helpful if you can't get into Zoom, but it's good to know, like to Grant's point, that these systems are no longer connected, right? Like if the points infrastructure goes down for some reason, it doesn't affect attendees being able to get into the application, and it doesn't affect the application at all, right? It just means that for a brief period of time, points weren't working properly. Again, these things happen more and more rarely. Yeah, so it's fun. We're in the middle of actually doing another pretty big shift in how attendee data is stored to allow for more scalability inside the application, which is causing some, like over the course of the last couple of weeks, there have been some weird errors that have cropped up. Like all of a sudden, you know, you guys are like, hey, this was working yesterday, but it's not working today, as it related specifically to some attendee things. Not a lot. It was like edge cases. And that's a function of us making another pretty big infrastructure change to allow for more and larger events to run on the platform and not be affected by scale. And at some point, who knows, maybe we'll actually start selling Obvio. Anyway, that'll probably happen once Marketplaces is ready to go, seeing as we close that loop. All right.
Heather.
Okay. Caroline said, what's the best information or video you have available for me to set up my dashboard to run my high ticket offer quickly?
Heather asked that question.
No.
No, Caroline.
Hey, Carolyn. So tell me, like, what part of, like, do you, when you say to run my high ticket offer, do you mean like to run my high ticket offer, like my fulfillment through the platform the way, like, tell me what you mean by that, because there's some language that you used that was specific that I just want to make sure I'm clear on.
Yeah, so as opposed to like sending out Zoom links, that I'm able to create a dashboard with like a call schedule and can send out information or text or however, versus having to send links all the time, and having a place for them to go into while they wait till we open up the call. That sort of thing is what I'm looking for right now.
Got it. Okay. And what on the back end, do you have a CRM that you use to manage generally your contacts?
I have HubSpot is the CRM.
Okay. So what I would, you know, I would be picking a really simple, like I don't know that there's a really short video on specifically how to do what you're asking.
Sure.
The things that are key to how to do what you're asking are, number one, make sure your event start date is like now and your event end date is way in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And by way in the future, I mean like next year, right? One of the things that you want to make sure you don't do is sometimes what people do is when they're doing a long-term event like this, is they'll use the start and end date as just the days that we're meeting. So like, I'm meeting next Tuesday, so let's have the event start on Tuesday and end on Tuesday. Don't do that. Have the event start today and have it end next year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. That's number one. Number two, pick the template that makes the most sense for you. The easiest template to brand and the fastest template to brand is probably cards. The second fastest is probably Nifty 50. Those two you can brand and customize really, really fast. The others require maybe a little bit more time and effort and energy, but I think it's just a matter of which one do you most like, and then customize that. Make sure you create a button that links to a Zoom area, and get your attendees into the platform. Now, because you're using HubSpot, if I were you, I would use my native HubSpot integration to fill your attendees for this event. How the HubSpot integration works is it works with lists inside of HubSpot. So you create a list, active or passive, or active or static, it doesn't matter. And you populate that list with your attendees. If it's active, you use the filters or whatever inside of HubSpot to populate that list. If it's a static list, then you add them manually through a workflow, or through a workflow. Then you choose the HubSpot list that is where those are where your attendees are stored inside of Obvio. And you select the contact property to store the login URL in, and now you can send out emails and communication. You can send it out through Obvio, but you can also send it out through HubSpot. What we do for Leap and for our coaching program is we will, even though Obvio can send out emails and text messages, we generally don't. We generally send all of our communication for Leap through Keep, through Infusionsoft, which is the platform that we use. And the reason I do that is because that's where people are used to getting our communication from. So their stuff is likely already, our email address is likely already white labeled. They're already getting things in their inbox from that. I don't need to try and get a new service into their inbox.
Right.
So I would probably go that route if I was you. That's the short version of how I would answer that question.
Okay, great. And then as far as like, is there an individualized like URL that plugs in with Obvio, or like how do I guess I'm asking, it's very basic for me. So how do I access it, and how would my dashboard look as far as like a URL for people to go to?
Sure. Have you logged into Obvio yet, Carolyn?
Only to probably attend these calls.
Okay, so you haven't actually logged into Obvio as a platform yet.
No, I have not.
Okay, so you're gonna want to do that as a starting point, and just create your first event and start playing around with it. Okay, I can't remember whose wise words these were, but within the last couple of weeks, somebody said just start clicking. You can't break anything, right? And if you do, it doesn't matter. Your attendees aren't in it anyway, right? So create an event and just start messing around. And once you are in there and you've started to do that, then hop on one of these calls the same way Amelia did, the same way Sarah does, the same way a lot of other folks do, and say, hey, can you take a look at my dashboard? And either myself or Grant are more than happy to take a peek and see if there's anything that is a red flag for us. And make any recommendations. But that would be your fastest course, is just start playing. Just start doing stuff.
That's awesome. I can do that. It's kind of how I set up my Searchy Hub. So I can do that.
Yeah. And if you can set up a Searchy Hub, you can set up an Obvio dashboard.
Okay.
The Searchy Hub interface is great, but it has more options, and it's a little bit, in my mind, sometimes it has some funkiness around it. Like sometimes things aren't where I would expect them to be. Now, admittedly, things are exactly where I expect them to be inside of Obvio because it's our platform. But, we modeled Obvio in a lot of ways off of a lot of the popular builders that are out there. So things are pretty easy to click around and to find once you start playing.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm sorry I didn't actually give you a firm answer, but Grant's about to tell you something that probably has a link with something in it.
Yeah. So a couple of months ago, Carolyn, I just did a walkthrough of the platform. So it's kind of it's just it's about 40 minutes, and it just goes through every function. And it starts from when you first log in into the admin. And it's not necessarily telling you how to do everything, but it's just saying what is available, like what does this do and what does this do. And so so then there's the onboarding videos that Blue did that go into detail about how to do things. Of course, that's longer, and you might find just doing the work through to start with and then clicking around yourself, you can work out a whole bunch of stuff. So I posted that link in the chat there. So
okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And Carolyn, I also, in addition to what Grant posted, I posted the link to the admin of like where you actually log in as a user, right? Which is different than where you log in as an attendee to different events.
Oh, so perfect.
once you go there, you're going to need to, because I see you already have an account using the Holistic Institute of Wellness.com, using that email address. So if you start by just clicking on the forgot my password and use your email address, because your Leap account is already there, it will, the system will send you an email allowing you to, change your password and get yourself logged in. And then once you log in for the first time, it's going to ask you for a credit card. And as a Leap member, there's no charge associated with it, but the system does still store a credit card or need a credit card in order to operate. So there won't be any charges on your card, but that's how that'll work. And then you'll be able to start moving around.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Sarah, did you have a question?
I was just wondering again about the dashboard, which I did change a couple colors on the buttons just because I thought it looked like there was a little bit too indistinct because the header was now a dark blue, and so I changed the black buttons to the same dark blue, and I was wondering if it looked a little bit too blue because
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it looks cool. I like that. I like the I like that personally. This is, design is all personal preference, right? But what I like that you did here is I like that you're using the two colors that are in your logo, right? You're basically bouncing back and forth between those two logos. So I think that looks cool.
Okay. Just wondering because I thought it might be a little bit too blue and gray, but thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that gray is the right background color. You may find that there's a better background color for you. I just made that gray so that you could, so the user can see the difference. You may find some sort of pattern background that makes sense for you. There's a couple different things that you could potentially play around with for that.
The background color, I actually changed it so that it matched the on the graduates page, like one block is that color gray, then it's white, and so I just thought it looked better that way, but I don't know. Yeah, gray's a little bit boring.
I don't think there's any issues with that. I think that looks great. Good job.
Thanks.
Okay. The next question's from Jenny. She says, what's the best practice for Q&A questions during an event? Do I hide all the non-sales questions after the offer and display all the sales Q&A? Or do I keep both? And if it is both, is there a way to add a line to distinguish between them?
Do you mean for like FAQs? Is that what she means?
I don't know.
It feels like that's what she means. So assuming that that's what she means, yeah, I probably would. I would probably hide non-offer related FAQs after the offer is made. There is no way to separate or differentiate. There isn't multiple FAQ pages. There is just one. So.
Great. The next one is from a different Jenny. She says, do some templates not offer the countdown timer?
Hey, can you take that one, Grant? Sorry, I didn't hear it.
There is countdown available on. Yeah, that not on everyone. That's right. Yes, I agree with the question. Not on every, because of where it appears in each of the templates. So what is possible there's always this is one of those times where I'm like, what are the three different ways to answer this question? But that you can always embed countdowns in a blog post, and there's like lots of websites that you can actually get a countdown if you wanted to do a separate one. But the key one, so you see on the classic template, there is countdown. I was just trying to think. This is what happens when we have the different all the different templates, is that we kind of need a matrix now. We have a matrix in our head of what works in what one template and doesn't in another template. Blue, do you remember there's a couple of the templates that the countdown that we don't have a countdown necessarily because of the way that the layout?
Yeah, I think the only one that's true for is Town Hall. I feel like the countdown block is missing from Town Hall currently. We have to
Thank
figure
you.
out where
That
we want to
validates it because that's what I have, and I'm like, am I crazy? Where is that thing? No, you've helped a lot already. Thank you.
No worries.
Cool.
So yeah, as I said, there is you can actually embed a countdown. No, this is a bit of a workaround, but if you were really like Town Hall is what I want to use, in the blog posts lower down, you could have your own countdown that you put in there. So, but yeah, it's not incorporated up in the top section of Town Hall. So cool. What's next?
So we have two from Jeff. The first one says, how much time on average does Obvio take for gathering attendance data?
Okay,
was that?
attendance in Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Or
Zoom attendance on Obvio. Mine's been going for 25, 30 minutes that I've been on this call. Still trying to gather it. So I just wondered how long of a process that is.
okay. It's 29 minutes. No, it's not. It's 5 minutes more than you are willing to wait. No, there must be something not quite right there. When you've refreshed, have you refreshed and something's getting
Yeah, I've
caught?
refreshed a few times. It just keeps spinning that it's
Which
working
event
on
are
it.
you
So it doesn't
looking at?
allow me to restart the process.
Yeah. Which event are you looking at, Jeff?
Squabbles update party under the organization Squabbles. Be the most recent event.
How do I spell Squabbles? I can never get that right.
SQUABBLES.
There it is. Yeah, you know what doesn't work? SQA. That's not it. Just in case anybody was wondering. Okay, Squabbles update party.
This is a fun aside, just because I want to tease you about your wife. Your wife will sometimes say kerfuffle from stage, and I said it in a team meeting the other day. It must have had Barry on my brain, and they're like, "Yeah, well, if we ever can't use the name Squabbles, kerfuffles is a good second." Like it's terrible for branding.
What's the date range you're trying to make this work for?
May 14th. Yesterday from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. I have all areas loaded.
So
he's making that Jeff broke stuff face.
No, it's not. It's not the Jeff broke stuff face. It's the developer who did this is gonna love it. Well, there should. I don't know what's going on with it. It should not take more than about 10 seconds or so, unless your event is huge. So I'm going to say that there's something going on with the data, and I'm going to pass this on to our dev team, and I'll fire you a message once they have it resolved.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
In the meantime, Jeff, I can get you I'll get you a different version of that attendance data just so you have something from that.
Yeah, and no worries. It's not anything urgent. I was more looking for curiosity than follow up need.
Fair enough.
So no urgency on my end, but I appreciate it.
Jeff's other question was if the option to generate certificates has been launched, can you give a demo?
It has not officially been launched. The team is still working on a couple of, I'll call them features that we wanted to load with it. If you post the certificate that you wanted to use, I can probably show it to you in short anyway.
Yeah. Let me,
I've just posted
you
in
know
the
what?
chat.
Don't know if I'm on the right machine to pull that up. Let me see if I can grab it. If not, we can always come back to it. I saw something inside that looked like it might be ready. And so that's why I'm asking.
Saw something in your, like on a screenshot, or like saw something on your end?
On my end, yeah. And an Obvio button, it looks like you were able to generate a certificate.
The destination of buttons, is that what you mean?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that probably shouldn't be visible.
Because then Jeff asks more questions. All right.
Yeah,
I found it, Blue. Hang on. Let me shoot this over.
It's really, yeah, the certificates feature is pretty far along, but it's not 1,000% there.
Gotcha. I'm sending this over. And here we go. All right. I sent that to you privately, Blue.
Yep. Okay, so here, I'll show you guys, and you don't mind if people see this? The certificate?
No, that's fine. As long as it doesn't pull up attendee data in there.
Nope. Nope.
Like email addresses or whatever.
Nope,
Okay.
Nope. Okay, so here's how it is going to work for the most part. So you create a new certificate, you call it demo cert or whatever you want it to be called. You upload it. It'll be really interesting to see if this actually works live in real time, because I haven't actually looked at it in a couple of iterations, and I have a sneaking suspicion that as I click that, maybe it will work. Let's see. All right, so now once that's in place, you click add text, and you move the text where you want it, and you say like first name space last name, and then you can style it to be the font that you want.
Just chuckling because you're having them sign their own certificate that they certified themselves.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I'll put that in a different place. I see where. Yeah,
no, it's all
okay,
good. It's concept versus placement.
right. Okay, so yeah, and then you can adjust that and be like, okay, I want that to be black instead of, or maybe you want it to be the red of your squabbles. So like that. Okay, so in theory, that is your certificate. You probably would, include your signatures here rather than actually add it at this point. And now that the part that we're a little bit, I don't love this UI because it doesn't, there's no save. Like you're like, is it done? Is it saved? But the reality is it actually is saved the way it is. So now if I go back to certificates, I can actually go back into it. So once you have the certificate done, now you just go into design, and you create a new button, and you add a download my certificate, and you point it to a certificate, and you click demo cert, and you click save. Now, there's a couple of things that we're working on that are not yet there. One of them is actually, so I'm just going to let that sit there for a moment because it may take a while to, to actually, or not a while, but a couple minutes to show up on a dashboard. But that's really it right now. If I wanted to put rules around it, Jeff, it's you're just putting button rules around it, right? So the rules part is no different than you showing any other button to a participant. Hold on one second.
You've got to hand it to him. He has done very well with the multitasking. I don't know whether he's just ignored a bunch of stuff that's been going on. It's like
I am mostly ignoring things.
Yeah, it's like
hey, give me a few
So I
moments.
just downloaded a certificate, which is great.
Cool.
So did I.
There's a couple of so there's a couple things that are. Did it download in the
email?
Did it? Okay, yeah. So that's one of the things, right? So currently, you get an email to download your certificate. One of the changes that we have that is making its way to the production system is the fact that it will also download in the browser, right? So not only will it send an email, we're also changing that email. So the email itself, the copy on the email is a little bit more accurate. The other thing that is happening is like when you click download a certificate, it currently, the button changes to generating because you can't click it multiple times.
Yeah, it's great.
And so, yeah, great. But there's some things that are going to be shifting. So one is that generating text you're going to be able to customize. So inside the editor, when you are pointed at a certificate, there's going to be the ability to change the text. There's also going to be the ability to change the format of what the button looks like when it's generating. Okay, so basically to make it a little bit more visible that something is happening. You're also going to be able to, the little pop-up that said, when you clicked on it, it said, we'll email you your certificate or something along those lines. That pop-up is going to be customizable so that you can tweak the language of the pop-up. And so we'll email them the certificate. It'll look like it comes from your, the event name is what will be replaced instead of the from name, instead of the from name being Obvio, because they don't know who Obvio is. So the from name.
Is it just applying global styles? Sorry.
Yeah. So right now, like at launch, the email is not going to be customizable. But it's going to be changed from the email that you just got. The from name will be the event name rather than I think it says Obvio currently when you downloaded that, right? So instead of it saying Obvio, it'll say the event name. So whatever your event name is. And then the language to download the certificate is we're going to be merging in some, like the certificate name, like download your insert certificate name rather than just the generic stuff. And it's going to, come from team and then event name or something like that. So at launch, that's what the email is going to look like. And then also the other thing that'll happen is if it takes less than 10 seconds to generate the, the from email is already updated. That's cool. If it takes more than 10 seconds to generate the PDF, which sometimes happens depending on what's going on the platform, then it won't download in the browser. But if it takes more than that, it won't download in the browser. But if it takes less than that, it will download in the browser. Just has to do with how we're generating the PDF. So little things to make it a little bit easier. The other stuff that we're going to do is, right now, Heather, you can't change the from. It's the event name. What our intention is to, on a certificate by certificate basis, be able to customize the email that is sent. The same way you can customize the welcome email or, the change your password email. You're also going to be able to customize the emails that are sent for each individual certificate, because each event can have multiple certificates. It's not just one that you can create. And then depending on which certificate the user has downloaded, the email that they get will be customized to that. And the same way you can, add an image, or you can do other things inside of that, welcome email builder. That's probably the easiest parallel to define in terms of how it'll be done. So as long as you have, you have to have broadcasts enabled on your account, and you have to have the from email address defined at the organization level. And as long as those things are done, then you'll be able to customize the from email on certificates. If you don't, then if you don't have both of those things done, then the from email will just be the generic one, but it'll look like it comes from you or your event rather than coming from Obvio. Just a couple of minor changes.
That's great. As far as factoring in like attendance analytics and stuff, like only generate for 80% or more, I'm that's on the pipeline. Do you know how much far after launch that will be factored in?
So immediately, because it doesn't actually work on generate template or generate certificate based on that. What it does is you apply tags through attendance, like through the Zoom attendance feature, and say, hey, within this window to this window, if they were present for, let's say, 80 out of 100 minutes, then apply the tag attended or whatever. Then at the button level, the download certificate button, you make that button visible based on the tag. And that's how you hide it. So
Love that.
The certificate has no knowledge of tags. It just has like, hey, okay, I will create it based on the button click. Couple of other things that we're doing, Jeff. One is the ability to manually trigger a email for a individual certificate to an attendee. So like, let's say post event, the attendee forgot to download their certificate and they're like, hey, I don't have my certificate. Can you send it to me? You're going to be able to go at the attendee level, email a certificate to the attendees. You're also going to be able to email the certificate to all attendees who have that, and you're going to be able to do that the same way you can filter broadcasts. So, and this will be at launch as well. This is part of what's taking a little bit longer, is because there's a couple of people who wanted this, and the moment your event got moved to August, and my other client who's waiting for this is also in August, I was like, okay, let's build this feature out fully the way we want it. And, one of them is the ability to go in and say, okay, I want to send this email, this certificate I want to send to all attendees who have this tag. So the same way you can filter a broadcast, you're going to be able to filter a certificate send and do a bulk send of certificates, which will trigger the email to all people who meet your search criteria. And they'll get the same email that your attendees would have had they clicked on the download my certificate button. So post event, you're going to be able to like push a full email send to everybody rather than having to rely on them to click the button to download it. And then the last thing that we're adding is the ability for you to download certificates for yourself. So, and they'll come downloaded the same way waivers do. So again, you'll be able to filter the certificate download, right? So you can go in and say, okay, go into I think this is working at the attendee page level. Actually, now that I think about it, is how it's being done is you go to the attendee page, you filter the attendee page based on what you want to do. And then under attendee tools, there's two options, one that is send certificate and one that is download certificate. And the the action that you take is immediately based on the filter. The same way the export attendees tool is based on the filter on the attendees page, right? So whatever you've filtered the attendees page to is how it will either download your certificates, like only certificates for, like if you do an attendee search as an example, and you look up one attendee, and even though you have like 10,000 attendees or 10, whatever, on the attendee page, when only one shows up, if you click attendee tools and export, the CSV that you get will be the one attendee that's filtered, right? So we're using that exact same functionality to say download certificate, and now the zip file that you get will be that one certificate. Or if you click send certificate, it'll then say which certificate do you want to send. You select the certificate and you click send, and now it'll again to that filtered list. So it's a little bit more robust, because as we were thinking through it, I was like, okay, well, what happens if the event ends and people forget to download the certificate, right? Because while as event hosts, we would love all of our attendees to take the action that we tell them to take, that doesn't really happen that way. So
I just want to give you props, like, honestly. So we've been talking about this for a long time, and this is far beyond what I thought this could do. So like, hats off to you guys. Like, this is really cool. It's going to be a game changer for us. It's going to save us a lot of time with our certification events. Cause I mean, creating and sending these certificates one by one is just a labor killer. And it's the day after the event. Everybody wants their certificate right away. And you got to tell some staff member they have to stay behind to do it. So seriously, thank you for putting this together, and all the automation is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, thanks. We're excited about it. It's it's a lot more. Once the builder for the certificate was done, which it pretty much is, now it's just a matter of building out the functionality so that it's a little bit more robust than the limited functionality that it has right now. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's a really cool, fully fleshed out feature. I'm sure somebody will, the day it's released, somebody will say, hey, can you do this? And we'll be like, no, you can't. But hopefully we've thought of most of it anyway. We'll see.
I will try not to be that guy, but I'm not going to make any promises.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Grant. Sorry.
Why change now, Jeff?
I know, right? I'm on a roll, if we're honest.
But I think the thing that's exciting about this feature, I think, is that for you, it's a massive time saver of a feature that you need, and is a service that you offer. For lots of people, they were never intending to send certificates out, but now with a click of a button, they can, and it's a really easy value add to their event. It's just like, oh, now we can actually say that you went to this 3-day event, and so now you've passed, or you've got your certification of the first round. And it's just a really cool thing to add, and people will really love that. And I think also helps in the selling to the next step of whatever the step is that you're enrolling people in. Is it's now okay, so now you've got level 1, you've got your level 1 certificate, sign up for the level 2 thing, or whatever it is, and so that's what I'm excited about. It's very cool.
That's exactly how we do it. We stair step people in, because we've got a lot of folks that are, it's like therapists running a private practice. And we sell our product to organizations who have big budgets. These folks don't. So they have to take their training one step at a time as they can afford it, and as they can afford the time in their schedule, because every hour they're not in their office, just like a doctor, they're not, they're not making money. And they've got folks with real needs. So yeah, this is incredible. Thank you guys so much.
It's great.
Yeah, you bet.
I think that's going to actually take somebody's job from, going to remove a job.
Well, right. I think a better way to put it is now they'll have time to do something else.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, I'll give you another just oddball use case. We have a client who is giving, is having an awards ceremony for, people who have accomplished a certain level of doing the thing inside of their industry. And in their particular case, it has to do with real estate. and how many, how many units they own, or whatever, how many doors they rent. And essentially what we're doing is, on intake, we have a question, right? On the waiver page, we have a survey that's been created, and the survey says, how many doors do you currently have under management? And this attendee knows what that means, right? Even though you and I probably have no idea what that means, they know what that means. And then there's ranges, right? So it's like, more than 10, or less than 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 500, 500 to 1,000, 1,000 plus. And then on night one or night two or something, they're doing a award ceremony where they're recognizing everybody who has those things, right? It's like everybody who has a minimum of 10, they're recognizing them. And how they're recognizing them is, number one, by acknowledging them, right? And just saying, for those of you who have more than 10 doors under management, and they can see that information under the statistics tab, or on the statistics page for the form, right? So they say, okay, I know there's 762 of you who have at least 10 doors under management. Congratulations. And in addition to that acknowledgement, there's also a button on their dashboard to essentially download their award certificate. So it's less of an attendance certificate in that particular case. It's an award certificate. Now, of course, it's very much honor system, right? Nobody's actually checking that. This is not a CE cert in any way, shape, or form. It's just a way to acknowledge them, right? And the PDF is like, congratulations, you have blah, blah, blah under management. And then the button will be the visibility for the button will be based on form responses. And those form responses will trigger which button or which award certificate they're going to be able to see. So, and that's happening at the end of the month. So this feature has to be done by then.
All right. So are you ready for the next one?
Yeah. Did we kill enough time to get a couple of questions?
Yeah, we did.
Up at
Oh. Amy wants to know if there's a way to clear the
Is that good?
leaderboard points.
Fantastic.
I'm sorry. I think I froze. Can you hear me?
Blue.
There is a way to clear
blue
the
just then.
It may be me who froze, actually.
Oh. Okay. So Amy wants to know if there's a way to clear the leaderboard points from attendees, or maybe this was already asked. What's the best way to reset attendee points to 0?
So there is ways to do that. There's 2 of them. You can do it individually or as a whole. So as a whole, on the points page, there's a button here that says clear leaderboard, and that will clear all points from the leaderboard. And then at the attendee level, there is this little trophy icon, and the trophy icon allows you to add or subtract individual points, or actually just clear points for that particular attendee. Something to keep in mind, this is not undoable. Okay, so please do not click the clear leaderboard button and then reach out to us and say, hey, I accidentally cleared my leaderboard. Can you recover it? The answer to that question is no. You are clearing your leaderboard, and it is not undoable. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, we'll just say you just have to get all of your attendees to go back and do all the same things again.
Exactly. But yeah, you can do it at the individual level, or you can do it for the entire event. It's a good tool if you are. We had a client who ran a leaderboard daily, and they basically at the end of each day they cleared their leaderboard and reset it. So in their mind, they were giving everybody a chance to win by doing that, rather than having one person just kind of run away with it. So there you go.
Thanks. I knew there was a way to do it. I just was brain farting how to do it.
Yeah, no worries.
And yeah, we want to clear it like once a quarter because we give out prizes, and
yep.
Otherwise we just give the same people prizes all the time.
Yeah, you can also export the leaderboard before you clear it. So if you clear it by accident, you at least have a record of it. And then if you need to
Too late
recover
now.
it, you can. Okay.
I
Well,
just
never
did
mind.
it.
Okay. Our next one's from Robin. She said, is Obvio integrated with anything within Dean and Tony's new program release inside of Mastermind?
No, not currently.
Right. This one's from Becky. I have set up a landing page in High Level, and when the option, do I redirect them to the Obvio page or somewhere else? Do I need to add them to my Obvio event page manually, or somehow I can do it automatically?
You can do it automatically. Go High Level we have an integration with High Level that works based on tags. So there is a tag that is unique to each event that you have once you connect it to Go High Level, and you have to apply that particular tag to your attendees in High Level. So I forget what automations are called inside of High Level, whether it's like, I know it's different in every platform, but wherever you, pardon me?
Workflows.
Got it. So they've copied HubSpot for that one. So workflows is where you would, I guess, create automations. And if you're selling, I assume that if you are selling on High Level, then you can have an automation that is, or a workflow that is based on purchase. If it's an opt-in, if it's a free event, then I assume you can have an automation based on opt-in in some way, whether it's form submitted or something along those lines. And then you can apply the tag that Obvio needs in order to do that. When you apply that tag, the service integration will import the attendee into Obvio, and then it'll write the user's login URL back into High Level for you in a custom field that you define. I would recommend you name the custom field something that relates to your event. Don't just name it something generic like login URL, because then the next time you go to create another event, if you use login URL again, it may get confusing. So generally speaking, kind of best practices is just make sure that you custom name the field to match your event name. And yeah, then and then from there you can email or text the login URL from High Level, merging it in the same way you would merge in any other custom field or the person's name.
Okay. Our next question's from Richard. He said, are we able to live stream to other platforms like Facebook, YouTube, etc., using Obvio?
Yeah. So the answer is yes. Technically, you're not actually using Obvio. You're using Zoom to do that. But once you get into Zoom, you can broadcast to Facebook, you can broadcast to YouTube, and then any other platform that accepts an RTMP feed.
What kind of
So
feed was it called now? RTM?
RTMP. Which
RTMP,
is,
okay.
yeah, which is it's a live stream industry standard. There's a couple of them, but it's probably the one that's been around, that's commonly used currently. It's the one that's been around the longest.
That's good to know because we still have our subscription to a live streaming platform, StreamYard, and we want to drop it because we think it's just, I'm not satisfied with it. And now it's just repetitive. Why?
I would agree with you.
Yeah. I got a nice pillow though. Boy, it's a choice pillow, but that's probably the best thing they produced. Thank you.
Yeah. Who bought StreamYard? I'm trying to remember who bought StreamYard.
Oh,
It's one of the.
Yeah, someone did.
It was one of the event companies, virtual event companies. Who did that? I forget what it was. Anyway, bottom line, yes, you can stream out to pretty much any platform.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Welcome.
This one's from Heather. Can you share how to properly connect a event? My client wants to see who attended and how long, so we can send them to the sales team.
I can-ish. Your best bet is going to be to connect with Winter and have them show you how to do it, because it all happens inside of a event. None of it happens inside of Obvio. The only thing that happens inside of Obvio, Heather, does that client have an enterprise account?
Yes, I have one client's enterprise. They want to go that, and the other one is just an event on my pro. Yeah. So, but the LAH of America Homes, they are enterprise with you guys.
Okay, so the enterprise account, you have to set up webhooks
Okay.
for join and leave.
Okay.
And I can show you what it looks like
That would be great.
From an event that we did, so that you know where it is.
That'd be great. I just haven't seen it finished. You know, they said I have the understanding of the webhooks. Like I got the link from you guys, or the help desk link article. So that's fine. I just kind of wanted to see kind of what it looks like. You know what I mean? Like what the end result is.
Yeah, so if you have an enterprise account, then you have something under the production menu that says webhooks. And you need to send webhooks. I don't know if this URL has changed, so you want to double check with Winter if that URL is different than what it is currently, or what you're seeing here. But then you create, once you have this in place and you click save, you then create 2 webhook actions. One that is attendee Zoom participant joined, and the other that is attendee Zoom participant left. And you'll see that's what's going on right here and right here. And what that does is every time an attendee joins Zoom in this particular event, it sends that information to a event. So a event now has that information inside of their system, and now you can set up now you can set up the integrations that a event has on their side. And how you do that is definitely more a question for them, because I am not even close to being able to call myself an A event expert.
Yeah, no worries. Just big picture. So are you finding that your client who are using it, they can see within like a 30-minute range, or they can see, okay, these people were live when the pitch happened. Like that's kind of the data they want. Am I going the right direction for them?
I don't, is that the data they want, or is that the data they want to action?
They want to see who was live and who listened to the pitch, who heard the pitch.
So you can do that inside of Zoom attendance currently. You don't need a event to do that. But if you are, but yes, actually, I don't know if a event allows you to see the individuals who were present during specific timeframes. But I do think that a event allows you to perform actions based on attendance. I'm just not 100% sure what that looks like, or what their visibility looks like. When we used a event, even though I sent the participant information to a event because I wanted to see how it worked, we used Obvio and Keep for our attendance automations. So
yeah, we're going to use it. I hear what you're saying. You're using the automations inside of Keep. We're going to use it and go high level. In this case, they're wanting to see who actually heard it, or at least in a time frame, because they're moving people. They're not doing the actual pitch like to go by on the event. They're saying to go to a call, like go to a call. So pitching people to go to a one-on-one
call. So I guess the question, Heather, is do they just want to see it and be like, oh, that's pretty? Or is it like, if they were in attendance, they want to do this. If they were not in attendance, they want to do that?
Yes, they want that data. Like these people attended, let's send them this message if they did not attend or
So,
didn't.
so that you can do that inside of Zoom attendance with an event that's connected to Go High Level currently. So,
Well, what
how
now?
that-
How? I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I just how I have it set up right now is because it's a 3-day event, and they usually hard pitch on day 3, and I do have it set up where it's attended, and they get one tag of attended at any time. But I don't. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I'm not having
no,
it
no,
day.
you're not doing it
attended.
wrong. It's
Okay.
it's that and. So it's
Okay.
it's not that there's nothing that you're doing wrong. It's just there's something that you can do in addition to,
Oh,
right?
okay,
So
good.
so you're talking about Zoom. You're talking about let me make sure I get my languaging right. You're talking about the checked in tag, right? Like basically, okay, they landed on the dashboard or they were present at some point. Great. And that's clearly not the information that your folks are looking for. Your clients are not your folks, your clients. Your clients are looking for, I want to know exactly who was online between 6 and 7 o'clock because that's when the offer was made. Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So you can do that inside of Zoom attendance for Obvio. Or within Obvio. And how it works, let me just see. Let me actually see if it is currently functioning because I want to make sure that I'm giving you.
Yeah, it'd be great. It would save us money per month. This is great.
Well, I mean, if that's the only reason you're using a event, then I would say that you don't need to use a event. If you're using a event to also press play on a video at a specific time, that's a different story.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. I think the first priority for this client is like, who actually heard the pitch? That's the first thing. And that's on day 3. And right now I just have a Go High Level tag that whenever they hit the Zoom, if they show up at all, it's attended, and that's too broad.
Yeah. So I can't show it to you right now because the same bug that that Jeff pointed out earlier is also affecting Zoom attendance in this particular case. So I can't show it to you. So right now it's not working. But if it was working, what you would do to set it up in advance, if you can set it up in advance or you can set it up after the fact. So if you want to set it up in advance, what you can do is you can go in and you can say, okay, like, so under Zoom attendant, like under Zoom areas, there's an option called Zoom attendance. And if you don't see that, then you need to ask whoever is the owner of the organization that you're working in to give you the Zoom attendance permission on the Teams and Roles tab.
I'm full active, but no worries.
Okay. So once you go into Zoom attendance, you now say, okay, I want to see, you select your date range, and your date range would be, and again, right now, like if you try this right now, it's not working, but hopefully it'll be working by tomorrow morning. But basically what you do is you say, okay, for tomorrow, let's say the offer is happening tomorrow. You select tomorrow, and let's say it's happening between 5 and 6. So you select tomorrow, 5 p.m. as your start date, and then you set your end date to tomorrow at 6 p.m. And then you select the area. Don't use all areas. You have to select a specific area. And then you click load. It'll load 0 attendance, right? Because it's in the future and nobody has attended. But there's then an action that you can apply, and that action can be a service integration, right? So in this case, Go High Level.
Right.
And so you can apply a tag based on the attendance, and then rather than click process now, I think it's process, there's a little clock where you can schedule the action to, or the schedule, you can schedule the tag application to happen in the future. So you schedule the tag application. Let's say your offer is from 6 to 7. So you would schedule the tag application to happen after 7 p.m. So 7:15, whatever. And now you can apply an external tag. Thank you, Muddy. You can apply an external tag. That external tag is, you would select go high level. You would select the tag you want applied. And now you create automations based on that attendance tag. So
That's
all of
great.
Yeah, all of that's there.
Yay. Okay. I'm glad I asked the question because that probably will solve it. And then if they use a event for this is great. I mean, this is because there are events next week and we have 800 people and they really want to know who actually heard my pitch. Yeah. So this is great. Thank you.
If that's all you're using a event for and it's a live event, you don't need a event for that one thing. That stuff is baked into Obvio already.
Perfect. Thank you. That's awesome.
Our next question's from Dior. He said, duplicating an event is a great time saver, especially for the events that we're constantly doing every other week. Currently, broadcasts are not duplicating. Can you update us on when this feature might be available?
I would say ask your business partner and leave me alone.
Yeah, so Mike actually was worked on this earlier this week. I raised it again.
And I'm just messing with you, Dior. I'm sorry. And for everybody else to know, Dior and Grant are business partners. So that's what's going on there.
What's even better is that Heather thought that Dior was female and was like, "Oh, it's such a beautiful name." And I'm like, "It is a beautiful name. Does it change it that he's male and not female? Does that change it?" Still a beautiful name. So yes, we'll look back at it because Mike was looking into that again. It doesn't error now. That's good, but it wasn't copying. It still wasn't copying. So it makes you think that all of the broadcasts copied, but they haven't yet. So I'll double check on that because that actually was a few days ago, and I think it might be sorted out now. So thank you for raising it.
All right. The next one's from Onric. He's super excited about the certificates, but wants to know when it will be available for him to add to his dashboards.
Soon. I'm not, I'm not trying to be vague. How about this? I will tell you this. I have an event that I personally have an event that those buttons need to be like that. We are going to be using it for on May 31st. So certificates is actually, as it stands right now, is really close. And I would say within the next 2 weeks, it'll be online for everybody.
I was just going to say it'll be around the same time as Marketplace.
And honestly, certificates will likely be done before Marketplace is live.
Yeah.
So that's all the questions that we have from the dashboard. Rich, I still see you have your hand raised. Did you have a follow-up question or just never put it down?
That was, I should have taken it down. That's my bad. Thank you.
Oh, now
Amelia's like, if there's still time, I would like a question. What's up?
I've just been playing and I saw that there was a way to connect to MailChimp. So I just clicked on that and now it's giving me a login URL field with a thing of address, birthday, first name, last name, phone number. WTFMF. What is that?
Do you mind? Can you share your screen?
I absolutely can.
Okay, so here's what that is.
Wow.
What that is, you need to create a field in MailChimp where you want us to store the login URL. And you don't want to select any of the fields that are there, because you don't want us to overwrite an address, a birthday, a first name, last name, or phone number.
Okay.
Once you do that, if you refresh this page, you'll then see that field from MailChimp here. So you would call it like event login URL, whatever your, not just like, please include the name of the event, not just Obvio Magic Link. And
okay.
And then you'll
I have to create something in MailChimp, a merge field in MailChimp to then okay. Perfect.
Yeah, and then a couple of other things to know with MailChimp. MailChimp syncing is based on audiences. I believe that's what it's called in MailChimp. So you need to create an audience that is just for this event, where all of your attendees for this particular event go to, in addition to whatever other audience you have those contacts in. And then you create the custom field for that audience in that audience. And then MailChimp and Obvio will talk together based on whoever is added to that audience.
Okay, so need new audience in MailChimp.
Yep.
To talk to Obvio.
You got it.
Okay, cool. Homework. Yay.
Who doesn't love homework? Everyone doesn't love homework. Panic Blue. It's 2 minutes over, nearly 3 minutes over. What happens when it gets to 5 minutes?
How many times have you had a speaker on stage and they say to the audience, "Do you guys mind if I take a couple more minutes?" Like the audience has any say whatsoever, and then the audience is like, "Yeah, go ahead." But now there's no chance that I can't take them off now, right? Because now I'm the ass who took off the guy who just asked for more time, rather than, I'm not saying he's an ass, but rather than him being the ass for taking more time, right? Like your clock's up, dude.
Yep.
Cut it.
They don't get to choose. The audience doesn't get to choose.
No, but once you do that, now it's like, as an event, as an event host, you can't go interrupt the person who just asked for that, extra time, because he just passed.
All of the audience just got in contact with me and said, actually, they don't want you to take an extra couple of minutes.
Yeah. There were only 3 people who nodded their head yes. The other 972 said no. So I'm sorry. It's your time.
No, you need to finish. Time's up.
Exactly. Thanks for showing up. Please don't come again. Oh man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Was it? That was it. That was that was no more text questions. All right. Look at that. The 2-hour time frame seems to be about right.
Well, especially when somebody asks a question that we can just go on for 20 minutes.
Talk for half an hour.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Oh, Muddy. Marketplace will be coming soon.
Well, I just thought I would follow up on the question that Tamara posted in the Facebook group, and that you said I'm happy to troubleshoot with you on Avio, having to do with the HDMI splitter. It's a production question with the ATEM, and at the beginning of the call, that's what I was testing, and I tested 4 different brands of 1x2 HDMI splitters, and ironically, the one that I had recommended to her was the one that wasn't working. The other 3 all worked fine. So, but I've
one
sent
job,
her the
Muddy.
links for the new ones.
You had one job, and that was just to give the right recommendation. The one recommendation you give was incorrect. It is funny though, because I wonder if Tamara really needs to split, or whether just going through and viewing through the ATEM, because she's got an ATEM Pro. For people playing at home, this was a question posted in the Facebook group, and Tamara's actually got quite a really cool use case of being able to take from one Zoom meeting and show in another Zoom meeting, and so wanting to use an ATEM for that. And You know what I mean, Muddy? There's no reason I don't think why, particularly with an A10 Mini Pro, you can change the output of the HDMI to the input of that screen so you can see it before you kind of see it before you take it live. And that would take out the complexity. Even if it was multiples, you know. So yeah, I don't know. But then you found a way that you could do it with a splitter, so that she can just see it the whole time, I guess, too. So yeah.
Yeah, and the laptop she's sending from, the meeting she's sending from, she has two screens right now, right? So she essentially just wants to mirror the second screen
Yeah.
and send that into ATEM,
Right.
input. So, and that was going to be the most straightforward way to do it with the splitter. It just so
Yeah.
happens this one version of splitter wasn't, and actually it works for a moment and then it stops working. So it's something, and I checked the different, I thought maybe the EDID or the resolution and frame rates that it was sending, and I tweaked with all those, and yeah, not exactly sure why, but HDMI can
Or
be a little finicky.
well, yeah, and it can also be the HDCP, the copy protection, which is quite likely because of the way that it passes that through. And some of the splitters will strip that, and so that now it tells the computer that it's fine and it's got copy protection included, but some of them don't. And if they don't do that, then it's trying to get it from the monitor or the ATEM. It's not going to get it from the ATEM. It will get it from the monitor. And so if it's passing that through from the ATEM, it's saying, no, we don't have copy protection here. This is a recording device. And so this is not going to work. So that would be my guess, but it's often they just split it to make it, they strip it and enable to make it work. So anyway, now we're really geeking out.
Well, and the last thing I'll say about it is that on the ATEM Mini Pro, input number 1 works a little differently than the other inputs. And on the ATEM Mini Extreme, input 1 and 2 work a little differently. They actually recommend, if you're going to connect a monitor, to connect it into input 1, or I mean, connect a computer to connect it into input 1 or input 1 and 2, because the scaler that's in there is a little bit more robust than the others. And so I thought, input 1 might work better. In my testing, it was actually input 2, 3, and 4 that worked more consistently with the HDMI splitter. So yeah, just a process of testing.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for looking into it. All right. Anyone else? Any desperate questions? Amy, you still got your hand raised? Yes, both hands.
Just quick. It's a yes or no question, I think. So go high level.
No.
I didn't subscribe to Go High Level. I subscribed to Panda Dash, which is Go High Level light, or a knockoff. Is there, aside from through a Zapier, is there another way to integrate it?
It's an agency, and all of the agency resellers for Go High Level work with the Go High Level integration.
Oh, yay!
So yeah,
that's what I needed to hear.
Even though in your case, it it looks, what would you call it? Panda something?
Panda Dash, yeah.
Sure. So when you go into Obvio, you select Go High Level, but then you use your Panda Dash login to log in, and it'll get you in.
I get it. Okay. Thank you. That made my life so much easier.
And do you get like free Chinese food with that company? Is that how that works?
No.
You get coupons from Panda Express?
Panda Express and DoorDash. Is that what you're thinking?
I went, yeah. Every time I look it up, that's what I get is Panda Express. But I did get a one-time payment, lifetime use.
Chicken, please, if that's all right.
Yeah, I'd like the miso soup.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I always like being able to get in.
We went from talking about Chinese to Chinese. Now I'm thinking about Japanese. I feel like sushi the moment you said miso soup. Anyway, sorry. What was the real question?
That was the real question.
That
You
was a
answered
real
it.
question.
There you go.
You didn't answer
There we go. I just like getting in local references. You know, we don't have Panda Express down here,
Oh.
but I enjoyed it when I lived there.
I
Oh,
actually have a follow-up. Oh boy.
you overspent on an iPad.
Oh, 100%. It is a
That looks finished.
exceptionally expensive Netflix tool.
because your Vision Pro wasn't enough for that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, stupidity. There it is.
You
Anyway.
just like, don't you look at that iPad and go, okay, so where's the battery? It's just like,
yeah,
ridiculously thin.
Yeah, it is. What they call it, it's the thinnest, not thinnest iPad. It's the thinnest device they've ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And you can tell that because it's thinner than the pencil that attaches to it, which almost guarantees that you'll lose it.
Yeah.
But no worries, it now has Find My. Although you won't be able to hear it, I'm not really sure what that means. Whatever. All right, sorry, muddy. Oh, and for the low price of whatever I paid for this, you also now lose a camera. There's only one camera on the back of it instead of two.
Wow.
But you do get an M4.
I think, well, and I think they compare it from a thinness to the old iPod Nano. Like it's thinner than the old iPod Nano. And in fact, the battery is smaller, but the battery life is the same because the chip is so much more efficient. But anyway, my question was a follow-up. One of the little idiosyncrasies of the high-level connection integration is the fact that first name and last name come in lowercase. And I know this, it's kind of a known issue. But it makes me wonder, would a Zapier integration using Zapier circumvent that issue? Would people come in with title case names or whatever case they have in high level?
I think
and of course I could test this and find out, but
yeah, well, so two things. Number one, our integration has been updated to capitalize names. It does not work with who said it the other day, like McDaniel or something, old McDonald reference. Yeah. Like things like that won't work properly. But it is capitalizing individual names that come across, even though high level is not feeding us that information. I haven't looked to see how things come across with high level and Zapier, to be fair. So I'm not sure about that. It may bypass that. And if that is the case, then I wonder if Zapier is doing something unique or if high level's integration or high level's app with Zapier is not using just their raw API. I don't know.
Right. Because otherwise it would be using the same API that you're pulling from. So
you would think, yeah, like I mean, our Zapier integration, like the Obvio Zapier integration, essentially uses the same API that our other integrations use. So the data that you get or send, they all interact a tiny bit differently, but it's essentially the same. So I would think that it's not going to bring you capitalization, but at the same time, the high level application shows capitalization. So the cap data exists. It's just for some reason,
it's in the source data.
Yeah, it's just for some reason it's not coming through on that.
Well, and capitalizing first letters in the Obvio integration is a big step forward. So 80% of the time works every time, right? So,
there it is.
It's great.
Yeah,
well, I think that's an interesting conversation because I've been noticing when people are adding their names to my website forms, they're not capitalizing their names. And I thought, are all these people so stressed they can't hit the shift key?
Sounds like maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know the answer to that question because I don't have a good contact at high level. So yeah, if anybody knows somebody high up at high level that would like to talk to a third party using their API for integrations, I'm happy to make that, have that conversation. Yeah, and then there was one other thing that we did with high level Muddy. There, Jeff had a problem recently where his integration got disconnected. And then when he reconnected his integration a couple days later, all of the attendees disappeared.
I heard you say that because it has the date appended. It used to have the date appended, right?
Yeah, so we changed the tag that gets created for Obvio is now, it needs something unique in it, which is why we were using the date. We're now using something else. I think we're using the date created for the event. Like it still looks like a date, but it's a date that will never change for that event. So yeah, and there was something else. I'm forgetting what it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Bravo.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, integrations are at the bane of the existence of the dev team. They hate integrations. Every time I say, how about this? They're like, no, not another integration. Almost exactly like that too.
Yeah. And it'll be like, it's almost the same as the other ones, but it's just a little bit different just to be annoying.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Just a bit outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them don't send enough updates, and some of them send too many updates. It's like getting hundreds of updates from them.
Yeah, and some of them don't send any updates for like 5 minutes, and then send all of the updates for the last 5 minutes, and you're like,
yeah,
like, gosh. And those same ones that just kind of hammer you from an API perspective are the same ones that have the most restrictive, like usage limitations on their own API. You're like, really? This, it'd be nice if this worked both ways, just saying.
Well, I had a client contact me today, and they said, OMG, I got it working with HubSpot, and now people register on HubSpot and it goes to Obvio, and then we get the link and it's all working, and they were very excited. And that was the first thing I read this morning, and I read it all as like OMG. I'm like, okay, OMG is bad, right? Like as in something's broken. It's like, oh no, what's going on? And I had to read the message multiple times to get to the point where it's like, oh, it's good.
Well,
I had to clarify.
especially when it includes the word HubSpot, right? Because
I know exactly. So I had to.
And HubSpot is one of HubSpot and Go High Level are very similar. So it's one of those integrations where it works almost the same, not quite, but almost.
Yeah, I was like, I had to clarify because I didn't want to say, great, that's awesome that it's working. Because I still was like, am I sure that it's working? So I'm like, so you're happy, right? Like, yes, I'm happy. Yes, it's working great. I'm like, yes. It was just
oh, that's awesome. Good times.
Yep. All right. Have we made it? We're going to call it?
Apparently we're now double overtime.
Oh, you're 20 minutes over. Oh,
yeah.
Look at that.
Well, and there's 2 overtime times. I'm not even sure what's going on anymore.
You're very overtime.
Yeah, he's like, you're so overtime. We had to start another overtime counter just to tell you how overtime you are. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for sticking it out. Grant, good to see you. Heather, I'm glad we were able to put a smile on your face today. And to everybody else, Marketplace is coming. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.